podcast. We've got another cracking episode coming up. I'm here with Brendan and I'm here with Nick from Self-Made Corporation. It's a clothing brand that he started. And Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So I'm 23, grew up in Western Sydney. I'm the founder and director of Self-Made. Also run a carpentry company. Currently studying my builder's course, so for getting into bodybuilding. So competing next year, this time next year. Loving it. Just doing me, working hard, living the dream.
Awesome. And a little bit of background of who Nicholas Saab was as a kid, as someone who is now grown into the person you're becoming. What was your upbringing like, and how did you come to the values you have now?
I'm very grateful for my upbringing. Good family, very working class sort of family. Wouldn't say necessarily handouts were given, but definitely had to earn my blessings, per se. Both very family orientated. Learned some good morals, values. I think that's very important. So having a good male role model in your life as well. Learned what it meant to be committed and disciplined early on, which I am grateful for. And then it kind of correlated into the life growing up and who I am now. Very much on committing to excellence and stepping out of your comfort zone and being uncomfortable or getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And then just a lot of lessons learning. It correlates into every aspect of life really, whether it be training, nutrition, business, work, relationships. You got to work hard to get those blessings in a sense.
Totally.
So,
Were there any key moments or like a sequence of moments where you're sort of going, oh, okay, this happens when I do this, and the lesson I get out of that is that, okay, this is what I need to do next time to get it up and level up. Is that something that you became conscious of?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lesson in everything. So I see failure as a good thing rather than something to be scared of and fear. There's two meanings of failure, or fear really as well. Like they say, like fear could mean forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. Like you got to look at it two ways. You can't be afraid to fail. That's where you learn the most valuable lessons. And rock bottom has built more champions and foundation and blessings and advantages ever will. So you cannot be afraid to fail in anything. You got to look at it like how can I go all in and go all out in something and achieve failure? Like it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You learn so much from failure. There's plenty of times failure can mean heartbreak, being broke. It can be so many things. Getting into a bad habit, like say, an addiction. Breaking free of an addiction. Like you got to get to that point where you realize that there is a problem, and that is 50% of actually fixing it is finding out what it is. And failure teaches you that. You learn a lot about yourself, what you're made of, and how you overcome things, which correlates into future endeavours through failure. So
awesome. And you said as well, like 50% of issues are really just acknowledging what the issues are,
what it is,
finding out what it is. What I've come to experience, this is just a personal anecdote as well, it's about being honest with yourself that you have the problem as well, where a lot of people are just like, I can see what the problem is, but that's not me. That happens to other people, or I see it happen there, or happen with him, but then when they have the issues, they'll go, oh, this is the problem, but then really internally they're just going, no, wait, that's not me. Like, if you come across people in that way and you're either coaching them or like they're your friends or things like that, how would you encourage them to not necessarily overcome them, but recognize that it's a lot more than just identifying the problem?
Well, you got to put your ego aside. You got to realize like no one's perfect. You know what I mean? And if people are open-minded into the fact that hang on, what is this person trying to teach me? Like rather than them, they're just yelling at me. Why are you yelling? It's like what are they actually saying? What's the message that they're actually trying to tell you? And be open-minded to the fact. Like you always got to be open-minded. You can't be stubborn and very opinionated to no, this is it. This is my way or the highway. You can't do that. You will not go far in whatever it is. It takes, you got to do some compromising as well. Like just from a relationship point of view, you can be opinionated, but you're not going to be in a long, sustainable relationship. It's not going to be healthy, But yeah, it's literally just putting your ego aside and realizing that there is room to grow because I've seen Andy Elliott, he was giving a seminar and it's just like how many people here think that they're like perfect and they're a really good salesman. And a few people put their hand up and he's like, okay, what are you doing here then? You don't need to be here. If you think you're the 10 out of a 10 salesman, then why are you here? So that's part of it as well. You've got to realise that you're not actually, your shit doesn't actually stink. Well, no, your shit actually stinks.
Yeah.
There's room to grow. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So you've got to always be open-minded. Like you always got to be in that mindset of how can I get better? I need to do more. Never be satisfied. And that's how you realistically grow.
If you are with someone as well, so using all of those anecdotes, you find that people that you're either coaching or that you're getting to know, that you see that they have that potential there, just that one step from going, hey, you know what, I want to take that leap of faith, but I don't know whether the risk is worth it or whether everything is just going to go to shit. Like, what's the message that you give to them to encourage them to take that leap of faith?
Well, you only get one life. You get one life. 10 years time, this opportunity will not be here. That you might not have it. But like, what if it could turn out better than you could ever imagine? What if you take that risk and you actually pull it off? You never know. You never know. And that's part of it. You got to risk it.
Yeah, I like to look at things as what would happen if you don't do it, rather than like that takes away from pulling back from doing things.
100%. It's like you know what will happen if you don't take that risk. You know what will happen if you quit now.
Yeah.
You know what will happen, but you don't know what will happen if you just keep going.
Yeah.
You don't know what the outcome will be. And it's the same like if you're going through hell, right? Why would you stop? Why would you stop if you're in hell? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Literally. So whatever it is, if you've got an opportunity to better yourself, or like and you're scared to take that leap of faith, you have to jump because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you don't jump, it's not worth it. It's not. It's got to have the power. Whatever it is, your dream life, it has to have the ability to pull you, get you out, wake you up in the morning, and you have to take that leap of faith to get there.
That makes sense.
If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Well, then, when you said that, like, it might not be worth it not taking the risk, like for us, like we understand that concept, but for somebody that might just be watching us and sort of going, you know what, I'm not really sure what it is that you're talking about. Like, how would you measure whether a risk is worth taking? Because sometimes you got to assess what it is that you currently do and then ensure that different systems and protocols are put in place where if you do decide to take that risk, then the windfall of that risk is going to be a lot less damaging than if you just sort of went blind. So how would you then distinguish when to take a risk and just go, hey, you know what, whatever happens, versus, hey, I'm actually going to take a risk and these are all the things that would happen, so how do I go about taking that risk?
Well, you have to take calculated risks. You can't just take a risk blindly, not knowing what you're going to get yourself into and what the consequences will be. You got to know, like, one, where you want to go in life and what that outcome is, and then you got to assess yourself. You have to be the judge of it, whether or not this will bring you closer to your dream life. So if you have, it aligns with your purpose as well. So if you know what your purpose is, you know where you want to be in 5 years time, 10 years time, you know what your dream life is like, then will this, you got to figure it out yourself, calculate it, see, will this get me closer to position.
Same spot, yeah.
You wake up tomorrow, Groundhog Day. You're gonna wake up tomorrow, same sort of thing for work. You know what's gonna happen. But if you take it, you don't know what will happen. You know, the opportunities are not always gonna be there. The same position where you are now, you'll probably be able to, if you set the job, that job role will still be there if you leave. You can probably come back, you know, or you will find someone that can go back into that. But you don't know what will happen if you take that leap of faith. You just don't know.
And then, so moving past this topic, how did you give birth to Self-Made?
Well, I'm big on mindset and, you know, aspiring and breaking out of your comfort zone and, you know, being committed to excellence. And it's a way of me inspiring other people as well through clothing, it's through bodybuilding, you know, because ultimately bodybuilding is you pushing and constantly trying to improve and become the best version of yourself. So Self-Made for me is about inspiring others and having a collective group of people, you know, in a movement trying to become the best version of themselves, you know, an ambitious culture of true commitment to excellence. That's what Self-Made means, you know, and we do that through clothing. So literally everyone is self-made, you know, if, say for instance, if Brenden went in a powerlifting comp and, you know, he worked for months on his prep and then he finally pulled off his, you know, 220 squat that he really wanted to, for instance, you know what I mean? That is like being self-made because you wouldn't have got that if you didn't put in the work.
Yeah.
You could have had all the tools in the world, but you would not have been able to do that if you did not put in the work.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and that's just what the brand's about, is aspiring others to be the best version of themselves.
And how far do you want to take this brand?
To as far as I can go, you know, whether that be as big as Gymshark, Muscle Nation, whatever it be. It's more about, you know, inspiring others. So if I can inspire as many people as I can, then I'm happy with that.
Is that something that you've looked at yet? Like in terms of actually measuring like what your business is going to look like in 5 to 10 years
100%. I've set goals and KPIs where I want to be by the end of this year, you know, next year. And it's funny because when I first started the brand, I was like, yeah, I'll just, you know, a couple sales here and there, you know, nothing too crazy, little side hustle. Then well gone past that. You know, that was when I first started like a year and a half ago, and I did not think it would be where I am now. And I still don't feel like I've popped off. So I still feel like very small, and, you know, small business. And for the most part it is, but it's way better and bigger than what I ever thought it could be when I first started. So, and who's to say where I'll be next year?
And what is that? What is then what are some of your goals? What do they look like?
Definitely getting out and sponsoring more bodybuilding shows. Obviously bigger socials, more consistently like good collective content that's inspiring others as well. Coming out with obviously new products. I've got a lot of big products planned, and obviously the bigger the brand gets, the more room I've got to be able to do sort of things. So sponsoring, having like one day, I definitely do want to have my own self-made or SMC event. Just have like a big day, you know, with prizes, games, challenges, stuff like that, like workout challenges, like fun stuff, you know, really fun day. That would be something I'm definitely looking forward to doing one day, you know, if I do get that opportunity. So that's just some things. I've got a fair few things planned, and especially products and collaborations that I would like to do, but all in due time.
That's it, SMC at Jammo.
Yeah.
That's a big event, parks full of people, kids mucking about, adults challenging themselves, buying clothes, like huge dream. That's it. I'll just say it right there. That's it. I'll be the Brenden and I'll be the first people there.
Yeah, 100%. Look at Andy Frisella's first form Summer Smash. The event they run every year. That's just gone. That sells out like in 2 minutes or something shit like that.
Wow. It's definitely something I would love to do one day. Is host an event like that. And the main thing is as well is hopefully my content or my business, my movement is going to inspire someone. to become the best version of themselves. You know, it doesn't even have to be related to fitness. It could be anything. Business could be coming out of addiction, whatever it is where you feel like you're becoming the best version of yourself. That is what self-made inspires and wants to do and push people to do.
Beautiful.
You know.
So how do you then what do you do like outside of self-made and your business and everything like that? Like what do you like to do on like just a leisurely basis or a recreational basis?
I feel like I do have non-negotiables. So that those things are like having time for me. Just to recuperate, reset, make sure I have time to not lose myself in the process and get caught up too much with work. Make sure I have time to see friends, family, relationships. You know, you got to time manage really well, I feel like. And that's something that I've definitely learned how to do better. So those things I might need just to go for a walk by myself, just no phone, just enjoy nature, just, you know, unwind. I just bought a bike, so literally just that's, you know, my me time, because obviously you can't go on your phone when you're riding a bike. You know, so literally
it's not the best idea.
Nah, literally it's not the best. So that's just like little things that you do, I feel like you need to do. So you need to have time for yourself, you need to have time, you need to have a balance. But in saying that, if you have a goal, you have to be obsessed. I think David Goggins said it like so good. You have to be unbalanced for a while. You really do, because you have to be obsessed to make sure you pull it off. You have to be it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. That's one of the biggest things that I've been like told where I just do not agree with. You gotta have a balance, this and that. No.
I totally disagree with that too.
Like you have to be obsessed. You have to be obsessed, and it is okay to be unbalanced for a while. There's a difference between being balanced and unbalanced for long and short periods of time. But if you have a goal and you need to get it done, life seems worthless and hopeless and shit without it, you have to be unbalanced for a while. It's just in order to be the best.
But I also find it too, like when you're obsessed with something, like, and that's your direction, like that's your balance. Like, because the thing is, the balance that we're discussing at the moment, where you sort of like, you know what, it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. That's like an arbitrary expectation that others have. Like,
you can't let small-minded people have that.
And that's exactly what I'm implying. Like, so, like, even though you might think that, or they might think that, like, it's unbalanced, you're obsessive, and like you've got this goal. That's like, but for you, which is your life to decide what you do, like you're balanced anyway.
Especially if you like what you're doing, like why add something else into the mix and you don't like it to do it anyway?
That's the main thing. You have to be resilient in what you do. And if you know where you want to go, then go. You know, God didn't give you that vision, you know, the same vision that you have. He didn't give it to you or you. He gave it to me. Because it's for me. That vision is for me. It doesn't have to make sense to you. I'm doing it for me. And if, by all means, I'm going to keep doing this. As selfish as it sounds, I'm going to do that because this is what was meant for me. You know, I'd love to have you around, but I'm not going to stop and be thrown off course because you want to know me or you're having fun knowing me from back then. I'm not the same back then. I'm 2.0. I'm moving on and leveling up. I'm not this person anymore. You know, it's same goes, say with friends, right? And I like the analogy of like it's like a rocket ship and you're taking off into space. You know, as you elevate and ascend into space, not everyone that you start with will come to the top and be with you. That's why, like a rocket, like bits and pieces fall off as you exit the orbit or out into space. You know, bits and pieces fall off. The same with friends. You know, the same friends that you know that, you know, I'm not saying it's bad, but if it's like partying every weekend is for you, taking drugs, doing this and that, if those sorts of things don't align with your goals, that you need to, or like that you can't take those people with you to the top.
It's your decision at the end of the day.
It's what you want to do. You know what I mean? So a big part of it is staying resilient and true to yourself. If you know what your purpose is, then you need to chase that. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. You know what you want to do, you go for it.
It's simple, and at the same time, it's challenging, and it's not. Haven't yet understood that they have that power to make that decision, because, as you said, like God gave that purpose for you, and then it's your decision then to act upon that purpose. And so, when people ask me, well, what do you think about purpose, and I'm just like, what's a decision? Like, purpose is a decision because there are going to be moments where you feel, oh my God, I feel so alive. In that moment, it's like, cool, all right, let's do more of this then. And then at the same time, find a way to either then use that with the work that you do to get money, or find a way to capitalize that thing that's making you feel alive. And so having purpose is having direction, because the most wretched of people are those that are depraved of any purpose, and they just wander around aimlessly, where they're just going, well, I just wish things were different, without actually doing anything to make anything different. And so
something's got to change in order to change.
Yeah, that's cool. The great saying is that for things to change, you need to change. Like, because you are the only thing that you control.
You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. You can't.
It's insanity.
Like, it's insanity, literally.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of driving force for people too, because I feel as though that people as well, they're really comfortable with the familiar. And so, like you were saying earlier, like, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. And so the thing is, what people do is they do the familiar thing, they get the familiar outcome, then they have the familiar reaction. And so they're not really concerned about their circumstances, they're just concerned that if things don't change, then things may get worse. But because they're continuously repeating those patterns and those habits, like, things don't change. And so what ends up happening too is that people then like just identify as that victim, and then
100%.
they just perpetuate this idea that it's exactly who they are, when in reality they would have been in a position where perhaps you may have been at some point, where you're just going, hey, I need to decide what I'm going to do. I can either perpetuate my problems and project my problems elsewhere, or I can go internally and go, hey, you know what, this is for me to do, and I'm going to go and do it. And so,
100%. And you can't let people like that talk you out of what you want to do, because, like I said, your spirit might irritate the demons. You know what I mean? So just because I want to go and get it and hustle and try, even if I do fail, I don't care, as long as I try it. You know, that's, at least I went down swinging.
Yeah, the biggest failure is not trying at all and giving up.
100%.
it's failure by default. Like, because you just go, well, cool, alright, I didn't do anything, but nothing also happened either. Like, it's basic physics. Like, the first law, that Newton's law, was everything is stationary unless it's acted upon against the opposite force. Like, so if you do nothing, unless you do something, then it's going to remain idle. And so, having said that, what has been the biggest lesson that you've found in incorporating all the lessons that you've learned during this year and a half of self-made?
That's a good question. It's definitely, you have to fail. Like, I'm really big on, like, learning through failures, because, like, I'm not a businessman. Like, I didn't learn anything about business, nothing about business in school, no background whatsoever. It's literally just going out there, you know, into the deep end, really out of my comfort zone. You know, I'm just gonna go for it. Fuck it. Like, what have I got to lose? You know, what have I got to lose? And you learn so much being hands-on and facing shit head-on. You learn so much. I've learned so much about business doing it front on. Need to say that I took it calculated. Every step I took, I thought about. You know, what would happen if I did this? What would happen if I did that? You got to be creative as well. Like, everything I do is creative. Well, I try to be as much as I can. You know, and you can't just take a step just going aimlessly, like not knowing what the fuck you're doing. You have to, like, have a plan in action and a goal and a vision, and things you want to certainly, like, do. Take those sorts of steps. That's when you got to calculate every sort of move you make. You got to calculate and think about it, and, you know, don't just go into something aimlessly. But at the same time, don't be afraid to. You know what I mean?
What's the middle of calculating and making the necessary steps versus paralysis? Because you've spent so much time calculating but not acting. Like, where do you draw the line?
Well, you gotta, like I said, you gotta think, which route will take me closer to my goal? Fastest and, you know, most time effective and cost effective way. And this most simplest way, to be honest, as well. You don't want to overcomplicate things more than they have to be, as well. necessarily want to keep everything boiled up in your head as well. You know, it's better to get it out, write it out, think about it, calculate, and I guarantee you, all the problems or all the head noise in your head are actually not that big of a deal. If you're holding something in your head, you know, write it out, say it to someone, talk about it, you know, write it out, and what you write out will actually make you realise it's not actually that one big of a deal, or you will actually realise, oh, is this it? I can, you know, handle that. But it correlates as well if you don't know what to do. It's as long as you control the controllables that you can do, everything else is easy. Everything else is literally so easy. So if just write out everything you can control, focus on them, and then, you know, even write out a list of like what's the most important thing for you at the moment in terms of facing this problem or this situation, whatever it be. Write it down and then cross everyone off which is the least important and which is the one that you can't control. You know, I can't control how many, like, I can't control if people want to buy my stuff over someone else, something else.
Yeah.
But I can do everything in my power to, you know, I want to go with that brand because of who they are and what they represent. I like their style. I can do everything in my power to, you know, make sure that sort of stuff is good. But I can't force you to, you know, buy my stuff over Gymshark. I can't do that. But what I can do is like, hey, this is who we are. This is the style. This is the quality. This is, you know, what the brand's about.
Yeah.
This is, you know, rather than Gymshark.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hating on Gymshark or anything like that. I'm not hating on anyone, but you got to separate yourself from the crowd.
Yeah, it's your why. Like, it's your why behind it.
100%.
It starts with why.
100%. And you know, I know my purpose and my why is. My why is to one, inspire those around me and my siblings. And the fear of being average is I cannot deal with that at all. That's it.
Can you elaborate a bit further on that? The fear of being average.
So if being average is just, you know, going through life as a victim. Mentality, or just, you know, just being mediocre, really accepting it, you know, accepting who I am, you know, the way I've been brought up. It's like, okay, well, that's the easy way, you know, and just, you know, you just grow up, family business, whatever it be. It's the easy way out. It really is. Neither to say it's not a bad way, but it's just the easy way out. It's just like,
you want to stand out.
100%. Like, you want to, like, what's one thing that you've always wanted to do? Go chase your dreams. Have a go. Like, the fear of being average is, and like, something I always despise. And I don't care what it is that someone else is chasing. If they're trying to break out and be more than who they, you know, can become, I'll have so much respect for that. Like, I will never make fun of an overweight person, you know, riding on a treadmill. I will never ever discriminate something like that. Because, you know, it doesn't matter what they are right now. It's like who they're aspiring to be and where they're on their way to.
Yeah, and it's for example that it's so much tougher for an overweight person to go on the treadmill. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of you need put a lot of mental toughness to get in confidence just to actually do that.
Walk in the gym and do it. Like, they would probably have so much self-confidence.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do it at that 100%. Stage as well, like on your body.
100%. It's not easy. It's not easy. And that person, someone like seeing someone like that inspires me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like they're not accepting who they are now. That's what I mean by the fear of being average. You know, you don't want to just accept being, you know, you're stuck in the matrix or the rat race. You know what I mean? You don't want to accept that. You want to break free and become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
What is your, now we're going to go on a tangent, what does your bodybuilding prep look like? So how have you mapped out when you're competing and the process that you're going to take to get to competition?
So I finished, I think it was probably about 24 or 25 week cut. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So now I'm about 2.5 weeks into reversing out to build. The whole point of the cut was to see if I could handle the cut, which I did. Obviously you can have good days, bad days, but I feel like I handled it pretty good. I feel like my coach would do that too. We'll say that too. And then that really showed my imbalances, what I need to improve on, my weak areas, strong areas, and what I would actually look like lean.
Yeah.
So now we're reversing out, getting my metabolic rate up and the hormones upregulated, and going to be building till about November, I'd say, and then I'll start prepping again over Christmas, New Year's for season A and RCN next year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so this time next year I'll be on stage or competed already.
Awesome.
Yeah, so super excited. Definitely something that 3 years ago or even 2 years ago I never thought I would be doing. And that's what I mean. That to me is breaking out of my comfort zone and becoming the best version of myself. Because 3 years ago, I was very overweight. Very overweight, and I never ever thought I would be who I am now. But that's what I mean. You always step outside your comfort zone. The fear of being average will take you places where you never thought you could.
Now, and that fear of being average might be subjective to different people because you also have levels of average. Like you can be just someone that cruises through life, or someone that does the things that they don't want to be doing on a consistent basis, has that talk to themselves like, oh, I'm an idiot, or this, I'm that, and then they go do the thing again. And the problem I've found with that is that, I know I've been that, and what I've discovered for myself is that I wasn't really being honest, where I was just like, do I really want this? And so that fear of being average often isn't really, what I found, isn't really the fear of being average to yourself, but average to other people who you might feel as though that whatever they think is important to you. And so once you remove that, where it's no one but yourself, and then the people that you care about, what you do affects them, 100%. Then I feel as though that changes. So it's a really good fuel fear. But at the same time, to me, it's got to be generated for the right reasons. Where if your fear of being average is average to what everyone else thinks average is, rather than what you can do at a certain level and then keep improving, and then you're afraid that if you don't do anything, you won't improve, then that's a different fear of being average.
100%. Well, like you said, it's subjective to everyone. So my definition of average for me might be someone else's dream life. But that's not to say downplay anyone. It's not to downplay anyone. It's just it's not for me.
Yeah, it's your own perception on.
And even if it's who I was made to be, it's like, okay, well, this is not the life I want to live. That might be your dream life, the life I live right now. But it's not to say I'm not saying it's a bad life at all. It's just like I said, it's just not for me. I'm not satisfied or wherever it is, and it's not to say it's a bad thing either. Something's got to change.
What will be your I'm drawing on a bit of a tangent. I'm just thinking, what would be your go-to training session, and then what would be your go-to meal, when you're prepping?
I'm kind of spewing because I've got a new meal plan. I asked for a new meal plan. Wow. Literally, the flavours in this meal is unbeatable. So I'll have 300 grams of Australian beef mince, so steamed bag of veggies, 50 grams of cucumber, 30 grams of iceberg lettuce. I'll put taco seasoning on my mince. And then I'll have 30 grams of barbecue sauce and 20 grams of mustard. But I'll also have 100 grams of diced beetroot in it. And the flavours
slap.
Oh, so much flavour in it. So much flavour in it.
Making me hungry.
Literally.
Well, I haven't eaten today either, so I'm just going.
I took photos of it because I was proud of actually seeing this looks so nice. And it was so good. And once you start eating clean and healthy, proper foods, it does a lot for your body and your mind as well.
100%. The other food, processed food, then becomes unusual to you. Whereas the other way around, usually society, unfortunately, it's the processed stuff is normal.
And cheap.
And then it's cheap or cheaper.
It's to say obviously we've all had KFC before. We get that mad craving out on KFC, but we've also all experienced, I guarantee it, that shitty aftertaste and that feeling. You know what I mean? It's to say it's such a good meal. I'm gonna start having that again because I'm missing it.
Nice.
But the training session, I just don't think there's anything more anabolic than a chest and an arm pump. Chest or arms, even though just up on
I was gonna say you're speaking to probably the entire male audience that we
Yeah,
captured.
literally.
Yeah.
Every male gets it. There's nothing more anabolic than having a good chest bump. I swear.
Then, alright, to conclude, what would you then, outside of what you've already explained, like, what would your definition of embodying excellence be? So, we went through how being self-made matters by doing the best you can to be better every single day. If you could put embodying excellence into one sentence, what would that look like?
Embodying excellence would be to ultimately commit to excellence and become the best version of yourself and encourage that. I feel like that you're embodying it, like it is excellence and success and nothing less. That's what I feel like embodying excellence would be, success and nothing less.
What I really liked about that answer too was the last bit, the encourage that, because sometimes you see a lot of people that commit to excellence, but at the same time they're also oblivious to people around them. Like they're not going to be exactly alike. Where if you're more encouraging about what you do and what you commit to, that might inspire somebody else to sort of find what their why is and then commit to that, and then they'll go on, well, you know what, like I've got an entire different life now. That's what I really noticed about that answer. So
lead by example.
Yeah, literally.
Not the only way. It's not the best way. It's the only way.
Yeah, and then like another thing as well is like if you don't know what your why is, or if you feel like you're stuck in a bad habit, or you want to try and change your ways and level up, but you just don't know how. What I've done and what I tell people to do is literally just leave your phone in the other room, sit on your bed at night, and just look up and just really be alone in your thoughts, and think about what am I doing wrong, or what can I do to change to improve myself. You'll find what it is you're doing wrong, what it is you need to do better at, and what you need to change. It won't be an answer you like, but that's what it takes. That's what it is to step outside your comfort zone and be ultimately self-made and embody excellence and achieve and become the best version of yourself. That's a little trick I like to do.
that's a solid wrap, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Nick.
No, thank you so much for having me. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
No, that's alright. Anytime, honestly.